We are live.
Hello, family. I am Sharif Iman,
And I am Tiana Cage.
and this is our third session of Love Speak Revolution. We are extending our conversation from last week. By the way, I ran out of gas. I had plenty of gas today. I left Tiana by herself because I was stranded working on getting gas. I apologize about that. But we are extending our conversation this evening on image and beauty. I spoke with her after she told me how everything went. And I said I really wanted the chance to be able to speak about that. So we're going to extend it. And that's what we're speaking about this evening because that's really massive in our society and in this time period, especially on how we deal with our image and our beauty. And it's a battle personally in my life because I have so much of society um, built in and that kind of like that religious doctrine pounded into me. So I have this broken, false um, system that defines me that I battle with every single day. So I really wanted to talk about this image as it pertains to male and um, and female because it's a different dynamic. Males, I'm not saying that males don't go through things in this world, but females, good Lord, you all get hit hard with what defines you. I mean, we both get hit, but you guys get hit real hard with what defines you. So that is what we are talking about. So we're going to commence with it. And I got this new cup at TJ Maxx, and it's Love Wins. So I had to get it. So
Yeah. Before we get started, though, just to let you know, we see that there's a couple of you watching, which is awesome. Thanks for joining
yes,
in.
thank you.
Um, if you want to, you can comment while we're talking. So if you have any thoughts at any point, let us know. If you have any questions, you can do that too. So we want to just know who's here. So these comments are not going to be permanent. They actually disappear after the video ends. So leave us a comment right now. Drop us a comment if you're watching. Let us know who you are and where you're watching from, just so we have an idea who's here. So I'm going to give a few seconds for y'all to do that. If you have a YouTube account, you should be able to comment.
Yes. And please comment and reply in YouTube and let us know what you think, how you're feeling, if you need anything, prayer, um, support, just anything. So Tiana, in talking about this, I think it really hit me to be able to discuss the dynamics between male and female identity. Do you feel like in the world, I'll just say it. Do you feel like men have the upper hand, so to speak?
What do you mean?
A lot of times, like this is a man's world kind of thing. Like this is, it's a little bit, in the terms of this world and society, it's easier for men. We
Mm-hmm.
get away with a lot more. What defines us, how we look, how we are. Um, do you feel um, that it's not balanced in that way?
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good question. It's huge. And I don't know that I can necessarily say that. I don't know if I can answer what it's like
Mm,
for a man because I've never been a man. So I think for me, I just would say that I feel as though it may be different, not necessarily like um, harder or worse for women. I do think that we um, live in a society that has historically been um, ruled by men.
mm,
So, like, as far as like when you think about like the government,
mhm.
when you think about the church, and other like major institutions in our society, men have typically been the people in the highest levels of power. And
Right.
uh, with not as many spaces for women to have voices.
Mm,
So I think, that usually when you have any kind of system that is designed by one group of people without incorporating in the voices of other people,
right.
that system usually works best for someone who's a part of that group.
Right. Right.
So I would say it in that way. But I think when it comes to our topic about like image, and thinking about beauty, like I would say from my relationship with like the guys in my life,
Mm-hmm.
um, whether it's family or friends or like romantic relationships, that I think men struggle with self image just as much as women. But like
Mm-hmm.
you said, I think it looks different because we're socialized differently.
Right.
So like our struggles are around different things.
Mm-hmm.
I also I think it depends on other parts of your identity too.
Yeah.
Not just like every man is like exactly the same and every woman has the same struggle,
Mm-hmm.
but like I mean there are other things that I mean can do with like where you are in the US, even where you are in the world, like how much like money you have,
Yeah.
middle class, like thinking about like your education level or even your race,
Mm-hmm.
your ethnicity,
Mm-hmm.
like
Mm-hmm.
all of that I think impacts
And that's what,
um,
yeah, that's
how.
why I asked, because I feel like um, it's all goes in layers. And
Hmm.
I feel like how you feel as a woman in this society
Hmm.
is kind of like the root system of your image and your beauty based on how you feel and feel like you fit in this society, and in the different levels of society. But then having to learn the truth in that, that society doesn't define who we are. But I was
Hmm.
just asking as a woman how you felt, because then we can just break that down as like you were saying, because like it's like if you can break it down to gender and
Hmm.
then culture,
Hmm.
color, right? So like there's these all
Yeah.
these facets that break down, that uh, and I think that's the reason why love wins. There's a reason why God said that we're to love each other,
Yeah.
right? We're to come together and we're to support each other and love each other, because as a society, like, we see how our society is now, and it's kind of like really struggling, right? And then
Yeah. But
it makes things challenging for.
yeah, my pushback would be, and thanks, Sonia. I think I see that you're here. We're glad that you're listening in.
Yes.
Um, so yes, love is powerful. I agree with that. But I think our topic tonight is really important because I think a lot of how we attempt to love other people is shaped by how we love ourselves.
Exactly.
Like we kind of talked
Yeah.
about a few weeks ago. And so I think for me, like what I'm learning is like as I'm grappling with these ideas around self-image and like beauty, I feel like I'm in a space or in spaces where the way that beauty is typically defined, like I can never fit that. And then
Right.
like the image that I'm seeing that I feel like is being projected back to me,
Hmm.
like I don't match that, as far as like what is like a godly woman, or like even at work, like what it means to be like um, a professional, that is what it means to be professional. Not that I'm saying I'm not professional, but like I'm not like driven,
Right.
career driven or whatever. I love my job, but it's not me. It
Hmm.
doesn't define me. So I think as I'm figuring out, I guess the reason I'm saying I think this is such an important topic is like understanding what beauty is, and really thinking about your self-image, is because if we don't feel secure, like that impacts how we then attempt to love other people.
Right.
So I think part of it is like first understanding like who actually am I as a believer. I'm like, who am I in Christ? And then once I can be secure in that, the degree to which I can be secure in that, like that's going to frame like how I then can reach out to other people. Like I put a quote on my Instagram today that was from Bell Hooks, who we'll talk about that later. Um, she was talking about like the ability to like you have to first be able to like sit with yourself
Hmm.
in who you are,
Hmm.
like just who you are, before you can really then be in relationship with other people. That is not like need based. Like you're not like be in relationships where you're not just hoping to like escape or get from the other person, but really, if you're secure in who you are, then you can offer love that is really just like selfless. You
Mhm.
have the potential to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't guarantee that you will, but
Well, the influence of society, the influence of the church, the influence of all these things, um, you begin to see you begin to see a cycle outside of the truth of how we're supposed to view ourselves and value ourselves and define ourselves, and that becomes the real struggle for as a man in society. I do struggle every day with my identity and with my worth. Do I look good enough? Am I masculine enough? But then God is really challenging me to lay all of that down and see that He defines me only. Because, like you were said, I like what you. I love everything you said. But like you were saying, like I can't fit society's um, like expectation and stereotype of who they think I'm supposed to be as a man. I can't even fit the church's like
mhm.
expectation of what I'm supposed to be. But God's like, I fit in you to be who I am. And I was just like, whoa, and that's about journey and relationship with Christ. Um, and I think that the beauty in what we are talking about in image and in beauty, I love the fact that you're like, what is beauty, right? Because that's a good question for you who is watching. What do you think beauty is? Like, what is it? When you asked me that question, that really like got my wheels turning in my head, because it's a weighted wrecking ball. Um,
So what is beauty? How would
um,
you answer that?
I think beauty is you can't just pinpoint it to like one thing. I think that there are levels of beauty, but I think here's the issue. I think we live in a society, in a world that is just about the surface. They're about the outward. I believe that beauty is inside out. I know that sounds cliche, but it's true. Um, the qualities of somebody inside um, is in beauty of basically, how do you love? How do you love yourself? How do you love others? That's beautiful. How do you care for yourself? How do you care for others? Um, what are your moralistic views on it as a human being, on a
Mhm.
humanitarian level, of what you think of other cultures, what you think of other people, how you treat other people who are not like you, whose cultures are not like you?
Mhm.
That's beautiful to me. But we're in this world that says what's beauty is your weight and how you look. Are you fit? um,
Mhm.
can it's like money. So there's all these, and those are parts of beauty, I believe. Those are parts of beauty. But beauty is more than that. And that's what I
Mhm.
think, for me, to know that if I look at you and say you're beautiful, it's not just because, it's not just because, oh my gosh, you look so beautiful. When I look at you, it's all things, and all people are beautiful, no matter what size you are, no matter how healthy you are or how unhealthy it doesn't, you're still beautiful. Like, um, because looks are fleeting,
Mhm.
but my parents are about to be married 57 years, and my dad speaks of my mom as though they just met. Like, he's in love with his wife. He's in love with my mom, passionately in love with her. Like, she's beautiful, she's sexy, and I'm like, Dad, I don't want to, I don't want to hear
Too
about.
much
But then it makes
information.
me happy. It makes me happy. So, like, the fact that they've been together for 57 years, my mom doesn't look how she did, but my dad still finds her so attractive and beautiful. That there's something in that.
Mhm.
Um, when we live in a society where it breaks my heart, where when a woman, hits a certain age, the plastic surgery has to start kicking in and all this stuff it's like, and like, as men, we gotta be, I deal with it, I deal with having to, I gotta stay, there's too much fat on my stomach. I don't look, it's just what is beauty. And I think it's inside and visual. I can see a woman, right? And I can see like, wow, she is beautiful. But then I don't like, but then I also wonder, is she just as beautiful on the inside as her looks?
Mhm.
Does she care well? Does she operate well? There's so many things that make us beautiful. So it's like, how do you feel about that? And so in the part of the video, um, in Lights in the Dark, there's a part where there is a girl in the bathroom and she's dealing with bulimia. Um, and that's a very serious wrecking ball to which, not feeling valued, not feeling good enough. And, you see somebody like these models that you see, and these beautiful people that you look at, they could be battling with that and not think that they're beautiful enough. They think that they're too fat. They're too fat and they're perfect, right? But it's a mental thing of you looking in the mirror, knowing that you're beautiful. That's the dangers, because if you let the world define you,
Mhm.
if you even let the church, right? Like if you even let man define you, let's go there. That's a better way to say it. If you let man define you, that's the danger. That is dangerous. But if you look in, for me, okay,
Humanity, humankind
right,
define
humankind.
you.
For me, I don't want to, I never want to offend anybody. But for me, God defines who I am, because it's not about what I look like. It's not about what I do. It's not about my dirt. It's not about, just loves me. And he, in the Bible, it talks about who we are as creations, that we're fearfully and wonderfully made. Before the foundations of the earth, he knew our names and called us. I mean, those things, like those intimate personal things, that's what defines us. So when I can lock into that,
Mhm.
then I'm on this new journey for the first time in my life, knowing who I truly am as a man and what my purpose is here. And I think that's really, really important. What do
Yeah.
you think? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. Um, and I would add to that, like, I think too, though, it's a journey to, let me just give my
Yeah.
definition.
Yes. Please.
So
Please.
if you ask me like what beauty is, I think about like the people I've met who, like I talked about secure, like the people I've met who just aren't striving and who are just like, you can tell they're just like walking in their purpose.
Yeah.
Like,
Hmm.
I mean, you see people and you meet people and there's just like a peace about them. And if they, whatever they're like involved in, whether it be work or I don't know, whatever they are producing, whether that be art or uh, you could just tell like that is what they were made to do.
Hmm.
And that for me is beauty, like living a calling according to how you've been created to live, like
Hmm.
whatever your purpose is, your calling is, like you've somehow figured it out and found it. And you are like just like walking in it, like even, I mean, I'm not saying that it's just like everything is just like honky-dory like easy,
Right.
but like I meet people like that who you can just tell like they're just so in line with life.
Hmm.
um and so then they like ooze out love, they just ooze it everywhere. um Without striving. And to me that is beauty.
Yeah.
And you can do, I've you meet little kids kind of who are doing that and in their little kid way
Hmm.
at that season of their life. Of course it'll change like as they get older, but you can meet elderly people, seniors, you meet people like at every stage of life who are living that way. And I just think it's something that we need to be striving for. So when I think about like what it means, like we talk about faith and what it means to follow God or to be a disciple of God, to me that is like my goal is to just be so secure and who I am, that I'm just oozing love. Like,
Yeah.
and I'm not, like I said, I'm not coming from a place of neediness, because I know that I'm whole. I'm not perfect, and it doesn't mean there's no challenges or anything like that. But if I get to that spot, I think that for me would be like the fullness of beauty. And I think that takes more than just knowing that God is and that you are created. Like, I feel like there's some intentionality that has to go into that. And like, I think you have to learn certain skills, or like certain ways of being. Like, you train yourself to develop certain characteristics, I think, even through the spirit, but also just like intentionality to develop and to grow and to mature, so that you can kind of move into that space of beauty.
You have to be very direct when you talk about the intentionality, because the world has been intentional for years. And a lot of people are jacked up. So the root system of your intentionality, of like where you're coming from, I think that has to, for me,
Mm-hmm.
is directly rooted in Christ. Because if I can get my intentionality through Christ, then it's a win-win, because I'm moving in that, I'm being intentional in that.
Mm-hmm.
And that is like the purest form of, if when I'm moving and living in that, of just learning to love myself, what it identifies me, and then I can turn around and love others
Mm-hmm.
well, and identify, like, and already know who they are, but at the same time, I mean, I think the most powerful, the beauty and I think the beauty and love that comes out of the hardest, the most difficult situations, when God calls us to love our enemies, bless those who curse us, you
Mm-hmm.
know, give your enemy food and water.
Mm-hmm.
If a thief steals, you know, a shirt, give him your coat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is beautiful. I don't
Yeah.
know. I don't know how,
It's
I'm still
hard.
learning but that's beauty. I think beauty is all things.
And I think I feel like you just confirmed my point, because I think the reason that's beautiful is because that's how you were created to live
Right.
originally.
Right.
Like, that's what it means to be
Agreed.
human.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's why when we see that, we automatically just think, oh my God. Like, I don't know anyone who would see that and think, oh, that's just, you know. Some people may think it's naive, but I think most people would think there's something um, like valuable, or like that should be commendable in living that way, loving your enemy, even if you think it's a little naive.
Yeah.
Because I think that was the purpose. Like, we were
Mm-hmm.
created to live in union with God, we were created to live in union
Union
with
with
each
each other.
other,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to recognize the image of God in each other, even though we're flawed,
Mm-hmm.
like, and to respect that, and to try to act toward each other in
Yeah.
ways that honors that.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think we think that's beautiful. Like, that was my definition kind of
Right.
of beauty. Like, I think we agree
Yeah.
on
We
that.
we definitely do. We definitely do agree. And then in pulling into what is beauty, you all have heard both of our definitions, and they really coincide with each other. How do you feel? Like, what defines you, male or female? Um, can you look in the mirror and say that you're beautiful, um, without a societal root system, but with a true root system? Can you see your beauty? Can you see the beauty around you? I mean, what is beauty for you all around you? Um,
And that's where like when I was talking about the intentionality, because I think we're in such a fast-paced world,
mhm,
and also just how we've been socialized, like how we are trained as kids, like at school, some of the things we pick up from our families.
mhm.
Like, we may not be trained to intentionally look for, like you were basically saying, like the beauty or the image of God in other people. Like, right now, society is so divided. It's like you're supposed to look for the things that are wrong. That person is wrong and I'm right
Right,
in these
right,
areas.
right.
Like, and so in order to like push back against that and live in a different way, I think it requires being aware that like these, first off, like some of the ways of thinking that are programming how I frame my world, um, I actually have a choice.
Right.
I am not my thoughts.
Mm-hmm.
The part of me that is me is the part of me that gets to sift through them and decide which
Mm-hmm.
ones I'm going to actually act upon or believe, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I can then intentionally train myself. That's why like meditation and some of these like mindfulness things are so important, because like, or popular because people are learning like how to sit and recognize your thoughts and they're just always racing, and like training yourself to be able to like pull back enough to analyze them and then act in ways that are like responding instead of reacting to like what's going on. We're always having these conversations in our heads,
Yeah.
right? Especially
Yeah.
us because we're introverts, so it's even worse. But I think that is why we have to be intentional. Like to me, that is a spiritual practice. Like this act of like making ways, creating ways for me to try. And I'm not saying everybody has to do, you might,
No. Yeah.
but for me, like to really be thinking about what I'm thinking about, not to make myself feel bad or shame, but so that I can be more aware of like how what I'm thinking is shaping how I see myself
Mm-hmm.
in either truthful ways or not. And then therefore also then how I'm responding to other people and like where my energy is going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think um, some of the ways that I have worked in terms of um, changing my thought process. I do a lot of writing things out and putting them in the bathroom, putting them on a door, putting them in places that I walk and I see, just to remind me this is who I am. And I speak those things consecutively. Like I'll speak those things 3 times a day, and I'll read it and speak it. And that's what I do because I have to see. I like to see something. I like to see it written, and then I like to move towards. And I keep um, renewing my mind
Yeah.
from the brokenness. Well, a good. We spoke about Caroline Leaf.
Yeah.
I love her,
That.
Caroline Leaf. She's amazing. She's a Christian. I don't want to
Like
say.
psychologist.
Yes, yes, she's a Christian
Clinical
psychologist.
psychologist.
Knows the brain and how we function and why we function. I really encourage you all to look her up. Caroline Leaf. She's Australian. She's also or
I
New
don't know.
Zealand.
I'm not
I
sure
think
where
she's
she's
from
from.
Australia or
She's
New
not from the US.
Zealand. Australia. I want to say Australia. Maybe New Zealand. Might be wrong. But she's amazing, and it's just like helped me change a lot of my habits and a lot of different things in terms of my recovery. Even that was huge, massively in terms of my recovery on why the brain works the way that it does, why it does what it does, and it's not just because you know, what we see and what we choose. There's a system behind it, and there's a reason, and there's a power behind it, and the body is actually functioning in that way. Um, and most definitely how you view yourself is something that was taught, something that was you know something that was bred into you
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over, whether it was society, whether it was your family, and now as adults we're sitting here like and young adults even, well, this is who I am, this is how I operate, this is how I love, because of my root system of my lack of identity, and my lack of worth and my lack of self-worth and beauty, and understanding what beauty truly is, understanding the definition. And I think that's so key. So some of the ways that give us some notes if you have any questions about, well, how can I um, change my views about who I am? How can I find out who I am, you know,
Like, or
or
maybe you already know who you are.
yeah,
If you have thoughts, and I know we're kind of headed up on 6, so I think we're going to try to keep it to around half an hour. But if
mm,
you have any thoughts, we welcome your thoughts, your
yeah,
comments. And then the one thing I would add, you gave a resource. For me, one thing that has been helpful is just meditating.
yeah, that's
Like I
good.
mentioned on scripture one, you talked about the scripture about like renewing your mind.
Hmm.
So if you are a person who prays, like for me, even just praying um, about being better at renewing my mind, or just like I mentioned to you, there's a lot of really good resources for learning how to sit with your thoughts. Otherwise known as meditation.
Yeah,
I highly recommend it. I mean, these are forms of really just getting to know yourself. Um, and they may feel strange or like, whatever. But I think that what they do is just if you have space for that, it just gives you time to really go deeper. And for me, at least, it's been really helpful. Like, and just like I said, like starting to develop more of that security and that stability in my identity in Christ by continuing to recognize the degree to which like my thoughts are not me,
yeah,
but I have power. It's been empowering
hmm,
to know that I am bigger than that. That there is something more powerful within me, um, and that I have choice, um, and then I can walk in that, like in knowing like which thoughts line up with my calling and my purpose. Like I don't know, I just feel more empowered to really go out and just be who I in my gut know myself to be, because I'm not conflicted with all these ideas to the degree that I'm able to do this well, because I think we're both still growing.
yeah,
So it's still a
totally,
process,
totally.
but I think it's a process that's totally worth it and won't really end
Yeah,
until we end. um, so
yeah.
yeah,
Well, this concludes our third session of Love Speak Revolution: Beauty and Definition of Who You Are. Please leave your comments to let us know what you think. And if you have any questions, always remember, family, you matter. You matter,
yeah.
you're important, you're beautiful. And we're all on this journey trying to discover what that means and what that looks like. So thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Sharif Iman.
And I'm Tiana Cage. And if you enjoyed this conversation, you should definitely subscribe to this channel so that we can stay
Yes.
connected and you can continue to be part of the conversation.
Yes.
Also, if you know anyone else who would benefit, share the link.
Yes.
So this will be posted, so you'll still be able to access it afterwards. All the comments from that were up until this point will be gone, but the video itself will still be there. So feel free to share. And we hope you all have a wonderful holiday.
Yes.
Um, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
See you next Wednesday.